Ladies and gentlemen, His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama, Tenzin Gyatso. So,
it is a great honor for me to receive the Congressional Gold Medal. This recognition will bring tremendous joy and encouragement to the Tibetan people, for whom I have a special responsibility. Their welfare is my constant motivation, and I always consider myself as their free spokesman. I believe that this award also sends a powerful message to those many individuals who are dedicated to promoting peace, understanding, and harmony.
Over the years, Congress has conferred the gold medal on many great figures in history, usually at a time when their struggles were over and won. Today, Congress has chosen to do something different. It has conferred this honor on a figure whose work continues and whose outcome remains uncertain. And that is why I will continue to urge the leaders of China to welcome the Dalai Lama to China. They will find this good man to be a man of peace and reconciliation.
Today, I wish to share with you all my sincere hope that the future of Tibet and China will move beyond mistrust on a relationship based on mutual respect, trust, and recognition of common interest.
Today, in honoring a great man of faith and courage, you, members of Congress, and you, Mr. President, are giving power to truth. Admire
what accounts for the rise of this humble Buddhist monk from near obscurity to the global phenomenon that he has become? It is not lobbies, it is not economic power, it is not political influence, it is moral authority.
On the future of Tibet, let me take this opportunity to restate categorically that I am not seeking independence. I am seeking a meaningful autonomy for the Tibetan people within the People's Republic of China. If the real concern of the Chinese leadership is the unity and stability of PRC, I have fully addressed their concern. I have chosen to adopt this position because I believe, given the obvious benefits, especially in economic development, this would be in the best interest for the Tibetan people. Furthermore, I have no intention of using any agreement on autonomy as a stepping stone for Tibet's independence.
On behalf of 6 million Tibetan people who continue to suffer under the iron grip of Beijing's communist rulers, they continue to brave systematic attacks aimed at destroying their national and cultural identities. But they do not waver, they do not falter. They know that truth and justice will prevail over evil and repression. Their guide and inspiration is His Holiness. But the efforts of this blessed man are not limited to Tibet. His wisdom and his compassion transcend national boundaries.
I know the Dalai Lama is a reasonable man. He is not seeking independence, but meaningful autonomy within the People's Republic of China. And I truly believe that if the Chinese leadership were to sit down with the Dalai Lama, they together could work out a solution whereby he would be able to return to his native Tibet, which has long been his hope and dream. This, sadly, has been a lost opportunity. The simple truth is, I can think of no one who more embodies the spirit of the Congressional Gold Medal than His Holiness the Dalai Lama.
Tonight, when this work is done, this ceremony is over, all of you will go home. Members of Congress will finish their work tomorrow, and they will go home. We'll go to our districts and we'll see our families. The Dalai Lama will not go home. He's not been home in 50 years. So today we honor his sacrifice and his struggle, and with a firm commitment that we will never forget the people of Tibet.
Another major concern of the Chinese government is its lack of legitimacy in Tibet. While I cannot rewrite the past, mutually agreeable solution could bring legitimacy. And I am certainly prepared to use my position and influence among the Tibetan people to bring consensus on this question. So I would also like to restate here that I have no hidden agenda. My decision not to accept any political office in a future Tibet is final.
The Tibetan people have a right to their heritage, their freedom, and the man we honor today is not only courageous, but also right to demand both. Again and again, we've reached out in solidarity to the Dalai Lama and the Tibetan people, and the Chinese government needs to know that we will continue to do so. The U.S. Congress stands with Tibet.
This was an historic moment because His Holiness was relinquishing his goal of independence in favor of a compromise solution, autonomy. The Dalai Lama has expressed a willingness to visit China to engage directly with the highest level officials. I join Mr. Lantos and others who have in their hope that Beijing will take advantage of this opportunity and extend an invitation to His Holiness for substantive discussions.
I thank you once again for the high honor that you have bestowed on me today. Thank you.
And I look back on the presentation of the Congressional Gold Medal to His Holiness 14 years ago with joy and sadness. Joy because it was a glorious moment of recognition for a humble giant, and sadness because the hopes expressed on that occasion have not been fulfilled. The unfulfilled hopes include the Dalai Lama's wish, as he said that day, that China would become a more open, tolerant, and responsible country. But as we know, today China is more closed, more repressive, and less responsible because the dictatorship in China, like Ozymandias in Shelley's poem, will inevitably perish like all the other narcissistic despotisms in history. But what will not perish is the will, the identity, and the faith of the Tibetan people. The Han people themselves will eventually demand their rights, as they did in 1989 in Tiananmen Square. And when they are successful, reconciliation with Tibet along the lines of the middle way approach of His Holiness will become possible. We don't know when that time will come, but it will. And until then, may the inspiration of His Holiness and the prayers and the moral solidarity of all mankind give the Tibetan people the strength to carry on.
Awarding him the Congressional Gold Medal was a gesture of strong support and solidarity on behalf of the United States. The Congressional Gold Medal is reserved for the most heroic, courageous, and outstanding individuals and is the highest award that may be bestowed by the legislative branch of the U.S. government, as well as the nation's highest civilian honor. In a few weeks, we will mark the 14th anniversary of that auspicious occasion, but unfortunately, the situation in Tibet and of His Holiness remains unchanged. It was my honor to become the first Hispanic woman elected to Congress and to bring awareness among my colleagues to promote legislation to help the people of Cuba who yearn for freedom and democracy. Similarly, I look forward to a day when the first Tibetan American is elected to Congress and can bring the heartfelt insight and passion that comes from personal experience.
I was so fortunate to be in the Capitol Rotunda that day when he received the gold medal from President Bush and Speaker Pelosi and Majority Leader McConnell. It was such a beautiful ceremony and one filled with such great affection and an abiding spirit of joy. Whether it's his wisdom or his compassion, his pure humanity, and his loving kindness for all sentient beings, all of these things, it is an amazing experience to be around His Holiness, to see what he does in a room full of people and how people just light up when he comes in.
In 1991, we held a packed house session under the beautiful Capitol Rotunda. Both the House and Senate leadership, both parties, spoke at that event, as did the Dalai Lama and many of his representatives. I will tell you, the atmosphere was almost carnival-like, and it was electrifying. And I think that moment really consolidated bipartisan support for the Tibetan movement. And equally so, President George Herbert Walker Bush, who we all may remember was also the head of the CIA at one point and a U.S. ambassador to China, also took umbrage to the Chinese strong-arm tactics. And around that same time of the Capitol Rotunda speech, President Bush was basically the first president to meet officially with the Dalai Lama as the leader of the Tibetan government in exile in a very public way, which also further galvanized U.S. support for the Tibetan people. So I guess a lesson here is bullying doesn't work, and basically this event that happened 30 years ago, I'm glad we were able to commemorate that today, basically led to a great deal of activity within the U.S. Congress, over the years that have ensued from that event in the Capitol Rotunda. We've had major legislation that's passed that recognizes Tibet as being invaded by the Chinese government, and also basically recognizing and documenting the human rights abuse that has occurred in Tibet, and offered support for the Dalai Lama and the Tibetan government's exile's efforts to attain a negotiated peaceful settlement with the Chinese government over the future of Tibet.
Ani di ngazo kowa tang shija yimba ina nima ni stokto tang ye la sok batang an kap tutu kap la shija nang la so yang gen ki sane gi phime gi chokso ji yimbe chani ro ngazu gi shena tapten shuye la sok batang an di nang shi gi kangje polo nang gu pugu zo yimba ina dendur nang juye la sok batang kap tutu kap la pheje ni dong thun la ro wo jamling kangje gi dendur dawo ji ke de ye samsam ji ten de sha tutu kap la nga ju ki ta re chembo din re gar chini ani di kangla kangbol ki dendur di zo temo ten ye la sok batang din re ji nang ye re ani dila sane phime ki chokso ji gen imbe chani dige changma la thungyur khari chigodo chi interest ni nga ju gi shu yes